Okay, so this is the way how we start always our podcast. Is a triathlon start. So you first you hear on the pontoon is heartbeat. On your marks. This is it. This is it. How are you, mate?
Good. I can't complain. How are you?
Yeah, very good. Nice to have you here on the podcast. I'm very happy that you find your time. I know you don't have too much time. You're working with the athletes all the time. It's crazy to see all your posts. Guys, if you're watching social media, go and follow this guy because he's doing something really special with the athletes. Is it right?
I hope so. I mean, and you have to go extra mile if you want to make results, right? I mean, the world champions becoming from the little eggs to become bigger eggs, and then they're coming quite a bit fast chicken on the track. So
yeah, I really like one of your posts that you were you wrote the testament that your pursuit in your life is helping and to helping the others to accomplish the goal. Is it right?
well, I believe that I accomplished certain goals in my life, which and certain dreams, and I still have a few of them left. And I believe that when it comes to the certain time, you're just gonna flip it over and you say, okay, from now on, I should be the one to help others. And I always said that there is nothing bigger pleasure to be a sports manager or coach or whatever, and fulfill the dreams of those who I would be lying to say do not dream big, but I would say they dream big. And to dream big and go for that, it takes a lot of support.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. When it comes to that shift, what's happened to your life when the shift came?
well, it's always something happened. You when I was an athlete, I was always up and down because I had a lot of injuries. And then when I was riding and working with a lot of professional
Like
athletes,
me?
like you, it's yeah. I mean, well, the life as an athlete when I've been in the shoes for the I would say 35, 36 years. I mean, I still not say that I'm not anymore because I do. It means like I'm not competing anymore on the elite level. That means like I'm not, but I'm still. So just like
Yeah,
being
you.
hit by the car, this and that is just part
Yeah,
of your life. So
you keeping fit really hard. Like, look at this. How old are you? Like 20 or 22?
21, but
21,
I'm
right?
trying to try to keep even
Yeah.
17, but you're getting older, you're getting 21.
You keep us on the alarm when we go on the bike, and you always push the big gear. You never put the low gear. That's what you say.
Well, I don't use the small rings. It's not,
I heard because you don't want to make him dirty.
yeah, I don't have time to clean the bike, so it takes, it saves me 10, 15 seconds to clean the small ring, so I can use it different way.
That is pretty cool. I mean, your life and your story is super interesting. Like I had so much talks with you, and every story was really interesting. I would like to just bring something close to viewers or the spectators who will watch this, like, because you were very well known as a athletes manager for the own company for the running shoes, and I think you have a big part of where the company comes. 6 years ago, you bring such a stars to the company, and I think in triathlon is the one of the most, if it's not the most using running shoes in a triathlon world, and especially of course Ironman and ITU, the both I think is the biggest stars using it, and you see the amateurs, age groupers following it, but it's of course because the product is really good, but they have to know from somewhere. So how was the journey? How did you get to the own company? And yeah, that would be the start. How did you actually get to the own company?
So a long time ago, I would say I was racing in the long distance. When I started racing long distance, I was racing with the one guy. He was from Swiss, and he was quite a good runner, Olivier Bernard. And I kind of honored the guy because I raced with him in duathlon Zofingen, and then I kind of honored the guy. And then I met him a few times, and then I was approached from from few people who used to work it on. When I was at that time was probably like 7 people, and they asked me, "Hey,
What year was it sound?
uh,
What is
2019. There was 2012, I think, 2011, maybe 2010. It was very
Yes.
beginning, because
Yes.
at that time there were only 2 models. It was Cloud and Cloud Surfer, and they approached me, "Hey, would you like to test the shoes? I mean, you're still a good runner. You can maybe give a feedback." I test the shoes, I get it back, and that time I was moving from Lanzarote, where I lived for a year, where I was training with some pro athletes as a training partner, and then working on the resort. I moved to Ferrer Hotels in Mallorca, where I was asked to transfer and help with from family resort to sport resort, making like a high performance center. So I moved there, and then that's when I was more approached, and I said, well, it's a cool brand, with the cool technology. I said, well, why won't we make it like a test center? And I started introducing the shoes to the athletes who were coming to the test center. And one of the younger athletes, which I actually, he approached me, was a young kid from the Ireland, Russell White, and it was a funny story because he came and he said that somebody stole his shoes, which I thought like, hey, you can keep the jokes with your mom. I'm not buying stuff like this. But then I was like, maybe that really happened. So I gave him a pair of shoes, and I heard the first real feedback from the shoes, like from someone who was still young but still ambitious, was from him.
Oh, really?
And then and then I said, you know what, keep the shoes, and he was surprised. I said, no, keep the shoes. And then 6 months after that, I was approached from and we talked together, because I was already involved in signing the athletes or hunting the athletes. And he said, well, we need someone who's going to take care of the athletes. And because you've been a professional athlete for a long time, and not just in triathlon, but in cycling and other sports. And then you so many people, not just in the triathlon, but in athletics, people in cycling, different sports, there's a government bodies, people who are in the management, you can introduce and come with the brand. And I said, well, I would, but it's a still joke because you have only 2 models, third model is on the way. So I said 3 models. I'm not going to come to somebody who is a big shot and saying, hey, we have 3 models. They're going to be laughing at me, and my name is going to be reputation. But then I said, you know what, maybe it's a good challenge, and maybe I didn't have for such a long time the big challenge, and I took it as a challenge, and I said, okay, I'll do it. So I went to Zurich, started working with the 3-4 models of the shoes we had on the road, working very closely with them.
What was the other 2?
We had the Cloud Surfer, we had the Cloud, and then we basically had the prototype with the Cloud Racer, which we won the Kona with the Frederic Mallierde. And then basically we were coming with the upgrade of the Cloud Surfer. We were working at that time on it was coming to the Olympics, so we were thinking about the new model has to come up, because it was obvious that if we want to sign a high performance athlete, has to be some high performance shoes, and then
that was before London 2012, right?
That's correct. So we worked on that, and it was coming, after that, and then it was coming the new models, it was coming Cloud Flash, going direction to Rio Olympic Games.
What name did you sign? Big name first?
Well, one of the first one which I went was Team Dawn. Then was Bart Ernaut. Then was from ITU. I started going after Vicente Hernandez. Then was the David House was there.
David House, right? Did he race in a Cloud?
Yeah.
In 2012.
Yeah.
Already.
And then,
so that's pretty. Yeah. That's pretty early.
He was one of the first one as a pioneer with on because he was even like we started with Olivier closely working on it even before I guess I was there. Testing the shoes, and then we had him in the on shoes, and then it was a Nicolas Spirig, as basically Swiss star who after London Olympics right away
straight after
she changed because she saw opportunity to work with the brand which is Swiss, has a technology which is probably going to work for her because she saw what's behind technology and why is the technology. So she decided to switch, and until now she's basically very successful and very happy with the shoe as far as I know.
And very injury-free and healthy athlete. I mean,
that was the story of the on as the beginning because the
that
Olivier.
Would be best to hear this.
Because the as far as I remember, and I remember it very well, then when I talked to Olivier and I said why I want to know the story, why the brand, why you want to make the shoes, and what was the story behind, and it was very simple and clear. He said, I want to make the shoes which is going to be injury free. And because he was injured from the shoes, I was injured, many other athletes were injured because the companies would change the models from models to year, And then athletes would have to adopt the other shoes. They didn't like the shoes because this doesn't work. When I was sponsored by ASICS, I had the same. I had the one model which worked for me for 2 years, and I said they came to me with the new model. I said I don't want to work with this shoe because it doesn't work for me. No, you have to this and that. I got injured. I got fasciitis plantar. So Olivier said I want to make the shoes which is gonna work, and then I will stand for it, and we go from there. Was technology behind. He believed in that. And I believe as well, because when I tested the shoes and I thought like, wow, that's cool. That's it works. It works. And if we're going to improve it and we work into further, then it's going to be just better and better.
Yeah, that's really cool. That I remember first person, as you said, it was David House to using it. And that's where it went on my eye. And I remember you asked me about after Olympic also if I would join, but in that time I was in a contract with a different company, and 2016 we met after that, and we came together, and since that I'm super satisfied with the shoes and also where the company goes and grows. And it's really wild that how the company grows, right? What's your thoughts about this?
Yeah, I mean, it seems like I remember being in the office in Zolikon when we had the small building, and was like, if I'm not wrong, I might be mistaken, but we're like 12 people, 13.
Yeah.
I came to one of the latest, the global sales meeting. It was like 250, and then like they said something like, we are growing so fast that there are hundreds and hundreds of people coming on the board, like nearly a year. I was like, what? I go to global sales meeting last one. I didn't know like 80% of people. I have no idea who these people are, which shows you like how fast the company is growing. And it's growing because the majority of products are really high quality and high performance. Yeah. We basically, as Olivier always said, each product has to have a performance inside. Even if it's going to be any lifestyle product, it has to have a performance, which is very, very unique and stylish from the founder. And of course, there is a team behind, and if you look at our products and you look at the details on the products, even talking about very high performance shoes or apparel, it's all the details, and anything connected to the product has a lot of work behind. But it's when you take the product into your hand and you look at your eyes, you see nearly uncomparable with many other brands, because there is very much a lot of details which are making huge differences. And the people seems like a lot of people now looking for unique products where they kind of look different, but also they kind of be part of the community. And seems like the On community is growing very fast at a certain point.
Yeah, this is really cool that so because the Olivier and you Ladi, you came from the triathlon background, right? But you also what is very unique, you bring also to the cycling world, also the running world. Of course, because the running world is the main thing. But what is really unique, you developed this refugee team for the Olympics 2016, which is incredible that such a company could provide and helping to refugee athletes with the products, but also supporting them on their goals and getting them really from the as you can say, from the camps out of to the world and estimate them in a real life, in a good life, I would say. Can you say a little bit the history, how where comes the idea to develop the refugee team for the Olympics, and also is coming, I think 2020 will be the team.
So in 2015, if I remember well, or 2014, I was approached by Tekla Europe in Kenya with this idea when I was traveling in Kenya, because we already sponsored the team Run Together, which are Kenyan team, quite a bit high performance team. I was approached by Tekla Europe, which we knew each other since she was a high performer athlete and very successful marathon runner in Kenya, with this idea that, hey, what would you think if we have this refugee, we have this refugee camp where hundreds and hundreds of thousands of people flooded their countries and they're living over there. And all these people...
That was in Kenya, right?
Yeah, in Kenya. Yeah. Like, these people have no, like, we believe it's like a nation in the nation, and these people basically have no opportunities to have sport as a part of their lives. So and I believe there has to be something on, because there is a certain education programs going on, and the sport should be one of the part of the education program. And I said, well, that's a great idea. I just don't know how to do it because this is going to be so complicated since we dealing with the UNHCR, United Nations, the people coming from different countries with a different background. We don't know where coming from. There is all of like very bad background. We can check, but we can definitely give a shot, and we can go from there. So first we did like a check we did like a test events at the Kakuma refugee camp where we basically did like a 3K, 5K run, and then we pick up the athletes, and the athletes those were picked. They were placed in the Gong Hills, which the Tegla Peace Foundation funded the rent of the camp, and then on as a new partner when we decided, and I decided that hey, I had a chat with the founders and we talked together, and they said, hey, this is a very cool project. It's something which it's not just about the sport, but also as changing people's lives, and showing the other people what can be done. That it's probably gonna be quite a bit interesting for us and for globally. And then next thing I know that we are heading to the qualification criteria for Rio Olympic Games, and then we did the qualification criteria. We passed. The athletes who passed basically were signed to refugee Olympic team, and then was Rio Olympic Games.
So did they have to went through the IAAF or the Olympic Committee some limits?
Yeah, they basically
did it, right?
Yeah, IAAF approached us with the limits, and they gave us the limits. They say, hey, these are the limits. We want to make it real because you just don't want to. One of the things which you don't want to do this is that you don't want to take the athlete onto the race, and let's say 5K race or 10K. Yeah. And then you don't want to do 10,000 meters when you're going to be overlapped 6-7 times. That would be disaster. Not just like saying that, hey, this is refugee, poor guy. No, it's about the point that we didn't want to make the athlete feel that he's underestimated, or he's just a refugee, so he cannot be. So we said we need to develop the program, the training program with the coaches, that these athletes will be capable to race and compete with those athletes. They have to go to the heats. They have to go to the quarterfinal, semifinal, whatever it takes. They have to go. They can't just end it up with the heats. So that's why the criteria were set, and we said, hey, this is what we have to do. This is what you have to hit. If you hit, you go. Yeah. If you don't, you stay in the refugee camp. We have to.
I'm really interested. Like when you did the first qualifications in a refugee camp, like were you surprised with the did this refugee ever run, or they were just like coming from all the parts of Africa, like Somalia or Ethiopia or other places, and they were just like very talented, or they did have any experience with the racing run?
Well, interesting thing is that when you do such an event at the refugee camp, like I just did another event in the Kakuma refugee camp a few months ago when we were picking up the athletes for Olympics for Tokyo. And interesting is that when you say something like this and you announce something like that in Kakuma refugee camp, in the high school or elementary school, wherever you go, and then you're waiting for the people, and we had about 50 people coming out, like let's say 40 girls, 50 guys, boys coming up for the event, and you think, when you start asking questions, why are you coming? Why are you coming? You think like you're gonna go. What's the point you coming here? Why you want to be here? And they're looking at you, and you can see right away they either have such a background that either play football or soccer at home,
so
they did something sport, and they just probably, because in the refugee camp they have no TVs or radios or nothing, so they have no idea about any Olympic Games or something, but they know that there is something better for them than what they have now.
So they also have some idols, heroes that they see. They made it from Kenya, from Ethiopia, do good living, change lives. So that's a big motivation to them to do the running, right? This is the main factor is different, like in the Western world where you go for maybe for fame or money. Of course, money is the same involved, but there is for change life, to do really better, and
it's a hope
actually to survive, really.
Yeah, it's a hope for better things, for a better life. And as these people, like as I said millions of times, if you go back to Kenya or you go to Ethiopia or you go to those countries, the people are, it's a different mentality. Like if you look at one of the top elite athletes like Eliud Kipchoge or I don't know, Daniel Wanjiro, which I work together with, those athletes, those are elite athletes winning the major marathons, and they come and gone with quite a bit good chunk of money. They're not really keeping money from themselves. They're building communities. They're building the schools. They're building the village. They're building whatever it takes, and it's just the way they live. It's a family. It's for them the village is the whole family. They buy the cows, they buy the fields. You know, they have a milk. They have they plant the potatoes or the corn, whatever, and then they feed the whole village. So
everyone wants to be there as well.
Yeah, of course.
To have their own cow.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. That's really cool, right?
So yeah. And now, as you know, now they're getting ready for Tokyo, the refugee team. Yeah. So the project is going on. We were in the World Championship in London, which they had good success. We were very happy with that.
And are you going to Qatar this year?
Unfortunately not, because it's crossing with the Ironman Kona, Hawaii.
Yeah.
And then so we have several athletes. I have several top elite athletes there, which I have to take care of.
How many athletes is going?
So far we have about 11 athletes going up, but it's going to be definitely more, because still there are a few of them who are deciding, and then still a few qualification races to go up. But we have the Bart Ernats, who was second last year, which
really
we counting.
Wow.
Great results. So, and a few different guns, which we counting that it's going to happen, that we're going to have a podium again. I mean, not just the podium. I mean, I count with the Bart Ernats as one of the contender for the win, but
which distance to just show the.
Well, it's going to be full distance, 3.8 kilometers swim, 180 kilometers bike, and then 42 kilometers run as a marathon. So it's all day long
so he's
shift
doing
in the office. And 8 hours of
But
hard
I mean,
work.
which is mostly the runners is mostly long distance will be compete on the long distance, or like 5-10K and marathon.
5-10K, of course.
And marathon as well, or no?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Is there any middle distance or other?
From the refugee team, definitely.
From the refugee team.
Yeah, from refugee team, definitely is going to be 800 meters, 1500 meters. So that's going to be 5K, 10K, and we're looking definitely for the marathon. Let's see now, because we have now one or two, but it's still close. Qualification is not done yet. So we're still going to be going through the final qualification. We'll go to Tokyo, but we will see after Doha what's going to happen over there. So we'll see from there who is and how is it. I mean, it looks pretty good right now. So.
That's pretty cool. We'll good luck on this. Cross fingers. And as I mentioned, that you're really close to relate with the cycling also, and that's pretty also amazing that as a running shoes supporting the cycling teams. I know it's a Trek Safredo, and what are the teams wearing the on shoes for the no cycling training, but on the lifestyle?
Well, I don't even call it a lifestyle, because we the reason why we started was because I had a very good chat with a good friend of mine, Fabian Cancellara, who said that he likes the shoes as a recovery shoes, and then Tom Boonen was as well mentioning to me once that he likes the shoes as a recovery shoes, and I was thinking about it. Okay, recovery shoes, what does it mean?
Well, what does it mean?
And it was like, well, every time I finish the stage, as I know as a cyclist, when I was racing and I still ride the bike for hours, that it's when you're pushing hard on the bike for some hours and then you just slip into something that feels comfortable, that's you would say like, okay, that's very comfortable, it's kind of recovery for me. So when they said that, I was thinking, wow, that's a good idea. I mean, it's not just about the podium shoes, but it's more about functionality of the shoes. So then I approached the team Trek Sega. Well, first of all, I approached the team MT in Quebec, which was quite a good idea, because I wanted to see a little bit more behind, and I saw the African team with African riders, and then quite a good idea of the foundation charity for the Quebec bikes, and like how people can get the bikes to Africa, which we supported. I said, okay, I would love to be part of the team, and that would be great to be as a partner. So I signed the team MT in Quebec first. Since I knew the principal of the team, Douglas Ryder, I knew Stephen Cummings as a rider, and a few other riders in the team. We were friends, and I said, okay, let's do it. And then after a few years, we just moved on, and I said, well, if there is anything else, and then came with the idea with the Fabian Cancellara and others, and I said, okay, let's do it. So we started working together, and then the whole team got together when they were signing with Alberto Contador, and then because I live in Spain and we know each other, I said, okay, let's do it. There's more and more riders coming on the team, like kind of like idea. I kind of like management of the team, the spirit of the team. I like the riders who are inside because we know each other. I go for bike ride with them. I train with most of them when I have time. So I know what's behind. I know the sportive directors, and I consider that team as one of the, I don't want to say the most successful when it comes maybe for the results, but one of the most dedicated team and sustainable team in the world of the professional cycling. And every time I have opportunity to be there and work with them, it's always something spectacular. And I always listen to the stories of the riders or mechanics or Soignier or anybody else, because all these people basically go for and do something, and they give us a lot of feedback.
But not too many runners or cyclists, right?
No. But I mean, if you go and you look at I know now that I was surprised at John Degenkov, and Dege called me. He said, hey, I would like to test the shoes for running with you. And I said, sure. Bauke Molema as well. He said, hey, we have friends, can we talk together? I said, sure, we can talk to them. Bauke asked me, hey, would you? I said, Bauke, for sure. Here you go. Fellini as well, Italian rider. He asked me for the trail shoes for running, and Markel easily asked me as well.
Maybe they will switch into triathlon.
One day they retire, they never know. They might. You see more and more professional cyclists switching to the long distance triathlon.
Like Vinokurov, right?
Yeah, one of them. Yeah.
Vinokurov did just recently some triathlon, right?
That's correct.
What do you think about his triathlon comeback, but welcome thing?
Well, I have my opinion on certain things. On one hand, I gave my life to the world of the triathlon and the world of cycling.
Yeah.
I would say also running, but I think cycling triathlon is more like my passion. And I always, since I've been there for such a long time, and I've seen a lot of things, and I live in the era of
so you
certain
think
things.
he should be not involved in the triathlon?
I wouldn't say involved. I would say anybody can race. He cannot stop anybody. But I would say that, in my opinion, if there is anybody who had the issues with the doping or anything, should be banned from racing as a professional, or even like if you age grouper and you're getting on the podium, that should be not. Also, qualification for world championship in Kona should be banned. There should be certain rules applied to everyone, and if you want to have a fair rules and fair competition going on, then we can let anybody race. You can be basically on anything you want. You can take any juice you want. But then if you win or this and that, you're basically not on the list. You won, but you didn't. Okay, you won, but you officially didn't. Because you're on the list of the banned people. Yeah. So you have no rights to be on the podium. You have no rights for the money. You have no rights to qualify for World Championship, right?
So did he qualify as a
I'm not so sure, but I'm pretty sure that he qualified for 70.3, which is going to be in Nice. Which I believe
is not good for the showing the sport that
I mean, there are more. It's not just him. There's a few more in our sport. We just recently saw this issue happening with the Michael Weiss, right? When he apparently, which we don't know because there is still under investigation, somebody yelled at him that the doper stings or whatever, something like that. When he stopped him and then he punched him, and then first of all, I hope this is not the true story, because if this is the true story, that's very shame.
It was on some German portal, right? Yeah. On the internet.
Yeah.
So it's pretty close to the truth, right?
Yeah, because you wouldn't do this. You wouldn't do accusation publicly unless you have something behind.
But he was twice banned.
Yeah. He was
twice, 3 times.
Yeah, twice, and I think it was twice when he was a mountain biker.
I don't know how is this possible to let people like this to still compete on the highest level. This is not
I guess amateur
sport. He's competing on the Hawaii.
Yeah, but the people always say that you have ban and you do your time, and then you're good to go. The question is always, and which I always said before many times, is okay, you did your time, that's fine. What are the benefits? But scientifically, what are the benefits from what you have been doing before when you were doing your time of not racing? because as far as I know by my studies, and I spend my time studying about a certain EPO or growth hormones and everything like that, how is that connected and what the benefits then have, and especially the time frames. And there is definitely, like, if you've been capable to dope for a certain period of times and gain significant power and endurance, and then you've been caught, and then for 2 years you basically just ban, but you can still maintain your training and everything.
Yeah.
And then after 2 years of solid training but not racing, coming back to the races, well, I don't see such a significant differences, because you're already gaining what you're supposed to gain. You might not just sustain the same power, but you still have that benefit.
And he's not tested while he's in the suspension, right? So he can actually get doped 2 years through. And,
I mean,
and come back even stronger, right?
There were cases
if the people want.
Of course.
And then comes pretty much clean. You can't really find out.
Of course, there is another girl from Austria. I'm not going to mention the names, who was banned, and then she even publicly accused from bribing the doping officers and lawyers and this and that. And then she just with a smile come back to the world of the triathlon. She wins the races, and she just laugh at the face of other athletes, which is not fair. I don't believe it's fair. That's why I said, you can let the people race, no matter who you are. It's the same question as I've been asked, about my friend, whatever you call it, Lance Armstrong. But it was like, do you think that it would be fair if he would race again in Kona, this and that? And I said, why not? I think it would be interesting. I said before, anybody or everybody should be allowed to race, even if you do anything else. But once you finish the race, you should not be able to go to world championship or get the podium or get the money or get anything which collect to the you are the finisher. That's about it. Is it fair to other athletes in amateur athletes? Is not. But my question is how much do we know about the amateur athletes, if they're doping or not? We don't.
Yeah, but I thinking he can really affect the race, how it goes. He might don't go to the podium or like this, but he can really help to others, or that's the thing.
Yeah, but also it's more about when you're talking this question, the question is how much attention and media he would bring, how much more attention and people would come to the race if such a person would come in. And also would be interesting to have him over there. As I said, the reason why I'm saying why people should be allowed to do it is because I believe that people make mistakes.
Of course.
We don't know.
We can learn from it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's not like once he made a mistake, he's gonna be the bad guy forever. For his end of the life.
Exactly.
He might learn, he might not, but he must to follow the rules.
Exactly.
Keep going the rules.
And he has to follow up consequences. And the consequences, which I'm saying, is that yes, he cannot take the podium, he cannot take the winning money, he cannot take any pride of that. He can only take the finisher t-shirt, finisher medal. The other as artists feel like, oh yeah, he overtook me, he asshole because he's stronger, because he was doper, this and that. Yeah, they might. My question is well, what do we know about the other athletes? I'm not questioning, or I'm not saying that the other athletes dope.
Yeah, and I think it's also a little bit maybe touching a human rights thing where, okay, you made a mistake in your life, you take, as you said, some consequences, but then you took it, and then stop someone doing sport for life. It's quite rough, isn't it?
It is.
It's one of your. I think it should be one of your right to do sport, because it's such a important thing for your mental, not just a physical, mental, sociable and stuff. Of course, you can do training, but competition is one of the part of the sport, right?
Exactly. It's not something what you're doing extra. It's just a competition. It's just you're training. I don't compete now, but I train a lot. Why? Because I like it, right? So you like to compete. You should be allowed to. It's just a sport. We're not changing the world. Because
Lance is still competing in Australia, right?
Yeah, of course.
He's not done there.
I mean, he's still going to some races in the mountain biking or trail running. He likes to do it. It's just
going.
I mean, he's still got the friends who following him,
If I can ask, maybe it would be very interesting. How do you get involved with working with Lance Armstrong?
Well, before I was part of the head cycling when I was working with the head cycling, and the head cycling was part of the the support of the Lance, because he was always with the head wheels, and Steve Head, as the owner of the head cycling, he was always in the big fan of the Lance Armstrong. So it was all connected together, and I guess there was a lot of involvement. I don't want to go to a lot of details, but it was always, Lance was very friendly with the people who he trusted, and then he always connected himself with the high performance people who believe and had a lot of knowledge, since head cycling was part of his. He believed that the head cycling as a company, and Steve had behind, and the people behind the company who worked in that time, and we were not so many people working for the company, were quite a bit hard and specific in working with the like it was more aerodynamics, wind tunnel, a hydration system on the positions on the bike, a lot of things, wheels,
so
different.
That's because also he was super detailist, right?
Absolutely, he
perfectionist.
Yeah, I mean,
you would probably talk with him about how to develop the aerodynamics with the wheels.
Yeah, absolutely.
As much as possible.
What kind of wheels, what kind of the profile, tire pressure. It is so many things, which, because he was very specific, and he was very I mean, he believed that a lot of smallest details make the huge differences, which was true, because when you're becoming on such a high level athlete, that's really make differences.
Yeah, it's interesting. You've been last week on the Tour de France. I saw your post on the internet. You were with Trex Alfredo, and you were like supporting the guys on the last few races, like last 4 races, right?
Mm-hmm.
What was your thoughts and opinion about this year Tour 2019?
Well, I think
are you surprised with some performances and
I think everyone was surprised about performance. It's the year when you can see a lot of new riders, or riders you don't see normally performing in such a high level, and suddenly you see them performing such a high level, which brings the questions like, how is that happening? Then suddenly you have a anti-doping coming 1 hour before the race, before the stage, which is, you start questioning, like, what's going on here? Like, why do we have this? Is that something happening? Something new happening? Then you obviously have the teams which are the strongest teams with the strongest riders, as Ineos team, previous Sky team, where you don't nearly question, like, is there gonna be Thomas Duran? Who is gonna be in the yellow? How many GC riders they have? I mean, when you look inside, you go like, oh well, I mean, they have already 3 GC riders inside nearly. They're gonna be pushing so hard, but then you see Quick Step took solid, team Trek Segafredo. We had Julian Ciccone in the yellow for 40. I mean, it was impressive to see the development of the whole Tour de France. The past Tour de France was different, because there were only few riders, 2-3, which were like changing. Oh, it's gonna be either this one or that one, Froome or this and that, Alberto or Andy.
And now it was really wide open, right?
It was very wide open, so it was very interesting. We had the very, very hard stages, and then we had the stages where, as we stopped the stage because it was a snow, hail on the road, and then we basically with until the stage before the Paris was the Champs-Élysées, was the stage before that, when basically yellow jersey was defining that, hey, this is the yellow jersey guy.
Yeah,
and he goes to Paris.
It's pretty crazy how they decide the 19 stage that they will cut. Also the 20 stage that they will short up. And do you think it was correct decision of the officials?
Well, I think so, because
of course, because because the nature, it stops. You cannot finish up the hill when there is too much snow, and in the field was flooding. So
yeah, it was the mudslide.
Do you think could they do something different? Because from my opinion, like, Julian Alaphilippe, he could maybe do better like he did on the overall stage, right?
I mean, if the stage would be fully finished, there would be definitely differences. There would be differences. But unfortunately, conditions. I mean, I remember coming up in the car, and we were basically coming to the finish line when I saw on the left side the whole snowy powder on the hill, and I saw black clouds. I knew this is not gonna happen. And then I was looking. Then I was I was listening to the radio, and they were saying that it's just a snowing, and it's not just a snowing; it's a hailing on the road. And then suddenly was the mudslide going through the road.
Oh,
that was the end of the story. You can't
get through.
And also when the riders were coming, because I asked few riders after. I asked actually Giulio Ciccone, and I asked the I don't know who was it. I think I asked Richie or somebody Bauke how he felt, and he said, "Man, it was not like we didn't feel cold, but the moment when we start slowing down, and then we were getting cold."
Yeah, you could see on the grass and everywhere they were in long, and they were coming down, and they start putting jackets on, and so it went really from one mountain to another really quickly, the change of the conditions.
See, also the question was more that is also technical, that they would not be able to ride through.
Yeah,
like you would have to unpedal and basically walk with the bike through the hell, because it was nearly like a 5
I think they could like neutralize the race, so the distance or the difference between how they went up the hill, it would start maybe somewhere else. Do you think there would be some options?
Yeah, but it's a lot like there's a lot of
were they thinking about this option?
I'm pretty sure that the management behind ACO were thinking about those, like a plan B, a plan C. But the thing is that when you plan the stage, they have also the timing zones and everything.
Yeah.
Once you change everything, it's gonna be different. I remember it was if I'm not mistaken, it was a Tour de Mallorca a few years ago, when it was the snow on the climb Yuk, and they basically they just draw the line on the road, and they said this is the finish line.
But I mean that's fair enough, because everyone probably knew before. They let know the teams, the managers before, like, okay, we'll finish the stage
here and there,
30 kilometers during the race, and you can prepare your like really quickly different tactics, different management of your energy and stuff. But now, like, Julian Alaphilippe didn't want to let people go, but I thought that he can go down the hill, he can catch, because he's really one of the best downhiller.
Yeah. Descender
in a road cycling. So I think he was counting, I think, with that okay, they dropped me now, but I can still get close to the gap on the downhill, and then we start again, will be another story. But they would stop and do finish line when nobody knows there was a finish line. So that's pretty, for me, crazy about how finished this Tour de France.
Yeah, well, it's unique, I guess. It's not going to happen many times. It happened. This is the second time, if I'm not mistaken. When I was talking to some of the guys from management, told me the last time was 20 years ago.
Yeah,
or even more. I don't know. I think it was a long time when they happened something like that. But you can't change the weather conditions.
That's happened, right?
Yeah.
And what do you think about our countryman Peter Sagan? He won 7 times green jersey. That's the record one.
Yeah, I think it's impressive. I think he just showed he was a little bit put down. A lot of people think about him that he's not performing anymore as he used to. Now he's just a showman.
He was always the showman. He's just
but that he just proved that it's not the truth. He just showed that people know he's not the showman. I mean, he's still in, and he's got still potential. I mean, it was not this Tour de France was not easy, and he did it. Like it
wasn't easy, right?
So
there is still like coming lots of new guys. As you mentioned that it was wide open, even GC. I think there is some similarities with the triathlon now, when the sport is getting younger. Like so the winners were now 22 years old, and in triathlon is wide open who is gonna win, and is younger people. Do you think Why do you think it's a genetics, or because the sport is known better? So my opinion is probably the genetics, because the sport like cycling is doing for competitionally or professionally 100 years. So the human body can actually get more adapted for that kind of performance, the somatotype way, so the how they look the body, but also the physical way, so they can endure better. What do you think?
I agree with you, but what I also agree, and I think what is true, what I hear from many others, is that you see more and more scientifically built high performance centers. You see more and more educated coaches.
Yeah, that's true. And also more research about the training, about the conditional fitness,
As you remember when
nutrition as well.
absolutely, when I was kid, I didn't have a school where it was called a special sports school or a special
Yes.
like sports development school. I don't know. It was just a school. Now you have your kid and you're going to this school, which is elementary school, but already is nearly like a high performance when they're choosing what kind of talent do you have, like what kind of what's your vision? Are you competitive? You're not competitive. Are you more like thinking guy, or are you more like crazy guy going with a power just to do something? You
Yes,
you
of
just
course.
cannot
They would
control
be
it.
like they knew if these guys supposed to do some speed
Exactly.
sports or some endurance or some powerlifting.
Absolutely. So now you can correct them from the age of 6 years old or young, and then you go and you can develop them to the level where they're becoming really high performance athletes, which I believe that was not happening in the era of when you're now 30s, 40s, because it was not like that. It was just in that time was not something like that. Now you have some like if I look at the MAPE, the high performance center in Italy, when I look what kind of research they can do, what basically they can do anything they want, and they can tell you whatever you want. They can tell you where is improvement. They do just a few days research about you, the tests and everything. They're gonna find out exactly what you're supposed to eat, you're not supposed to eat, what kind of supplements you're supposed to get, how much you're supposed to get, how much sleep you should have, this and that. They basically they can just create one big template for you, and they tell you if you follow this, and with this engine you have inside your body, we basically, we cannot say 100%, but we can 95% can say this is you either gonna make it this way or that, or you're not. So now if you have someone, you can say, well, you are the one you are talented, but you have to work so hard, and you have to do this and this and this and this, and you have to follow this coach, and you have to be either high altitude camp or this and that, and you're gonna be, and if you do this from age, let's say 11, 12, 13, 14, not suddenly you 19, 20, and you are just flying. You are
that's what I think. Lots of people, maybe from maybe your generation, also my generation, like they was just shooting blind. So you don't really know what you're doing, and if you really have the genetics for it, if you're supposed to do it. I mean, of course, you always can change and upgrade your body and get adaptive for the kind of sport. So I got adaptive from swimming, which was quite different to the triathlon, but and I could do 2 Olympics, I could run European champs, but of course there is, I think in the future probably you can agree that it will be more and more people will be specific about their knowledge about themselves and how the performance goes, right?
Oh, absolutely. And then again, it comes to not just the body, human being performance, it comes to the products. What technology do we have now? I mean, you have that kind of wheel, we have that kind of bikes, light, stiff, fast, helmet, aerodynamics, this, that. I mean, shoes, you come in with that kind of shoe, this kind of shoe. It's so many things, what you can, recovery. Now you have recovery pants like this, recovery pants like that. You have massage. Like now you don't even have to go to massage therapist. You can just buy all these, tools, products, tools. You can do it at home. I mean, think about 20 years ago. What did you have? It was nothing like that. You either go to the massage therapist or you're done.
Yeah.
Now you don't have to go to. You just buy this and this and this. You find the sponsors. That you got it, and you can recover it on
But
your
of
own.
course, it's nice to have some massage therapist.
No, absolutely.
He knows what about your body, and
Absolutely.
physiotherapist.
I'm just saying
always,
that how different.
You can help. There is more tools. You can be.
Absolutely.
You can push the edge or your limits all the time.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, now you have the hydraulic brakes. You have this, that. We didn't have that before. It was just different. Now you have 28 millimeters tires. You can roll to the turns better. You can only. I mean, there is so many. I used to race on the 22
crazy.
millimeter.
Yeah. Like used to be. Thinner the tires is better.
Of course.
Now it's getting thicker.
Bigger,
it's
because
28.
now you find out that when you're rolling to the turns, you go much faster. So
what was this on this tour? 28 or
mostly 25, 28.
25, 28.
But also we saw.
It depends of the.
It depends on the what kind of the stage was it. If it's to a lot of switchbacks, especially
you would go 28, right?
28, 30, yeah.
Really, even 30,
even 32. I saw on the rare wheels on 32.
Really?
Oh yeah,
that's crazy.
So yeah, it's
pretty crazy.
I mean, if you want to take a big risk and you want to go full gas downhill and you're good descender, you're technically good, and you take 32, basically it's gonna hold you pretty good. And again, it depends what kind of tarmac. You always do the recon on the car with the service car before. Either you go with the team before the race, a few months or weeks, or you do at the race day when you go and you do the recon the day before or anything, and as a sportive director, and you come back and go like, okay, well, this is the tarmac, this is we have to do this and that. Biomechanics know exactly what to do. They change it immediately. They know how much pressure they have to put. So
they have a big science.
I mean, it's coming on.
With the pressure.
It's coming to triathlon as well, as I saw it a little bit happening in the new Plymouth. I saw it happening in Bermuda. That I could see some of the athletes were asking questions. They came to me, a few athletes, and they were like, "What do you think?" And
this is interesting. What your opinion? What can cyclists can learn from triathletes, and opposite way, triathletes can learn from the cyclist?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of things, and I think the triathletes can learn a lot from cyclists as the way they approach, the professional way they approach to the whole lifestyle, because I see a lot of triathletes not. Like, I see a lot of professional cyclists being very, very strict with what they're doing, especially when it comes to preparation, off-season, season, how they highly specific about the bikes when it has to be 110% perfect. Nutrition.
You mean about the bike, so they check they bike, right?
Yeah, I mean,
that's quite impossible now in triathlon because
you travel.
There is not so much money involved. That you don't have a team, so no, you would have to take a mechanic and stuff. So or the best way, as used to be, like the cycling company would take a mechanic with and would take care about some certain athletes. What was, but now is less and less.
It is. I agree. I mean, it's as you said, it's based on financial support and support of the federations. I mean, and of course the team. It's not rocket science. I mean, we both know that. I mean, you have a budget of $20 million for the team, pro cycling team, and your budget for the triathlon team is nothing. So what I mean is that it's all dependent on the support of the federation and the team behind, and that's why I always said that the athlete should have the team behind. It should be, you have a federation, but what I see precisely, there should be always the one who is around the athlete would be coach, and I don't know if to call it either coach or manager or the guide. In the long distance triathlon, I can see that sometimes not even coach, but more manager is more involved because he see widely around the athlete, not just the performance, but they see widely, like what is happening here, how can he help, what's missing, what is that he understand the athlete also, like more from the family perspective, like what is kind of personality, and then he's a coach but also again the manager of the athlete is the one who is involved in like products support, nutrition support, any type of support. If it needs to be, like I said, a high performance test center or whatever needs to be done, because that makes differences. So he's there to see what has to be done. Obviously, the coach is one who's coaching the athletes, doing the training programs, but it has to follow. But so it's a combination, and that team, and also bike mechanic. The question is like, is the coach a bike mechanic? Not really. It has to be someone who has a knowledge about the bikes, who works with the bikes, who on the last minute can change something, and if he cannot change something, he knows what to do to change something, or ask someone. So because, as I said before, in the cycling there is very clear, crystal clear. You don't discuss this. You get the bike and it's ready, and you go to the stage and you race and you finish. You leave the bike and you go home. You go to a hotel. You get massage and you're taking care. Triathlete has to take care of his own.
Yeah,
So,
it's true.
So
Mostly, I mean, some federation I can call Great Britain having their own mechanic, or US team. What I don't know Australian, sometimes French. I saw. I don't know the Germans if they have some few, but compared to the rest of the field, they don't have almost just the coach. Like my brother is doing almost everything, and you helping me a lot if we when we go to the together on the races. So it's just one person really doing everything. It's crazy.
No, I think it's for the one person to do everything is very difficult. I mean, I work very closely with Russell White, and I work closely with you. I'm helping the Bob Haller, Javi, whoever, and I closely work more with the Russell White than you, and then because there is a reason for the long-term relationship, and then also I know you more than anybody else, and then I just see that you if there is something missing, like you said, your brother Michael. I mean, he knows certain things, but then it comes to the certain things to the bike or something. I mean, we all know things and don't know things. We're good in something, bad at something, so we always can combine things. And okay, if this doesn't work, then I can step in and say, hey, let me take care of this. Make sure that it's perfectly done, so then it's going to be ready for the race. So you don't have to worry about it, because your worry is about the race, not about the bike, or not about the other things.
Is a pretty much multitasking of everything, and as you said, some people knows one thing better, and someone other things better. It's pretty cool. What do you think cyclists can learn from triathlete? Is there something they can learn from us?
100%, because they should learn about the life, like a general life as an athlete. Not the general life, but I'm saying general life as an athlete. Because I believe that these professional cyclists are treated like queens and kings. They all got on the table, which the triathlete is done. They should learn a little bit more, be humble, and learn how to even fix the bike on their own. Or maybe when you're traveling, how to... disassemble bike, put it together in the bike bag to use this and that, which most of them are really quite a bit bad on that. Also, like, just be on your own when you're traveling to training camps, and it's quite a bit interesting to see how can triathlete survive
traveling all around
WTS
the world.
races, World Cup races around the world. When I traveled with you guys this year from Abu Dhabi to Moldova, New Plymouth, back, and then Bermuda. Other way south of the world, Bermuda, back to Europe, it's just spectacular to see how you handle everything, and then it's just packing, unpacking, doing that. I mean, the cyclists have no idea about this, and then looking for the swimming pool, looking for the training where you're going for the run, track, this, that, cooking, washing dishes, bed, this, that. I mean, it's just it's one of the things, but it's part of life.
I mean, to be professional triathlete, if you're not from the big federations, as we call, you have to like multitasking and do on your own thing, and it's pretty cool that you learning to survive on a human's level, right? Like,
absolutely.
You will get prepared for your life even you finish the sport, and that's how I feel. And I'm always saying like my triathlon career is a journey, and I'm learning all the time. So that journey is my goal, really, because that's pretty amazing. What people I met, what country I saw, what I learned. So that is. I don't think even I am only successful all the time and winning all the races, you would be able to learn all the things, because you learn from the mistakes, from the losing. What you gonna learn from the winning? You just pretty much addictive to the winning, and you want to just reply it, right?
Absolutely.
You don't want to get. You can get better, but you won't just copy that. You don't want to improve that thing. You don't have that mentally that, okay, I just made a mistake. I want to learn from it. I want to do this better and stuff.
Absolutely agree. On the same page.
I think that's the final idea or final point. Thank you very much for my third podcast. I'm really happy to have you here. I think it was lots of interesting things came out, and I'm really looking forward when we will do another one maybe in the future.
Well, thank you.
What do you think?
Oh yeah, absolutely. And thank you for having me for this podcast. And I hope I'm gonna just continue what I said before many times, just supporting those who dream big.
Yeah, thank you, man. Have a good one.
Absolutely.
See ya. Ciao.